Hello, my African brothers and sisters. I am back again with the African. We have big problem in our African continent. That's why it is difficult for African to create United States of Africa. But we can do it. The problem of creating United States of Africa is that 95% of our leaders are so corrupt in power. They are power hungry. They are power haunted. This is the problem. That's why for Africa to have a United States of Africa will be difficult, but we can do it. We can fight for it, we work for it, and we pray for it. Inshallah, with the grace of Almighty Allah, one day will come, there will be a united Africa. And the united Africa is the prayers of our forefathers who work for independence and uproot Africa from colonialism. But the mistake of our forefathers was they never send the neo-colonials away. They are working with them. That's why still it's too hard for African to believe that we can do it without the help of European or American or Asian. Africa is the only continent in the world who welcome all race, all humankind, welcome them, and they misuse us and they maltreated us. And still we keep in quiet and keep patient on it. When shall that end? It's now we should end that. We, the young generation of today, if we don't have power to sit and rule, but we have our voice to speak out. Our voice is our element to fight against imperial rule. The Western will never leave and they will never want to leave. When we talk of the Western, we mean the Western politician and the Western businessmen and businesswomen, the Western companies at large. And the Western aid, they call a aid with the benefit of Western policy and Western politics. Because those aids in Africa are never helping African people, but instead helping their own people they represented there. But the problem of Africa is that we believe the people we welcome more than ourselves. We believe them to an extent that whatever they tell us, that what we believe. And we never see the negative part of it. Imagine the grandfather of somebody who slave you, colonize you, kill you, prison you, come with the small amount of money telling you, we want to help you. No. European will never go to that extent to help African to be better. Because the better of African is the downfall of European or an American and Asian itself. That's why the world combined together to see that Africa is never united. This is the problem we are facing today, we have facing before, and we should fight against that problem to end it now. We are calling our leaders, our so-called politicians who are dancing to the tune of Westerners. We are telling them enough is enough. African children need to take control of their continent, to take control of their resources, and take control of our educational system. When you see the educational system of Africa is all manipulated and printed out by the Western people who pretended to help African while they are helping themselves. Because in all the 54 countries of Africa, when you look the educational system, it's a system that corrupted our mind, our brain, our social affairs, and everything at large, to see that Africans are always busy reading and writing books without developing themselves. The civic education we need to integrate ourselves is the policy European people never want Africa to use. Because the moment African implement those civic education to train a good qualified personnel who will work into their affairs and manufacture their things for themselves, it's the downfall of the Western companies. This is what they don't want, and tell African, you can go to school, read books, learn, you have your degree, you have your masters, but still we produce and you buy it from us. What a world we are living. But when you say this to African, many will not understand, some will understand, but they always said, let be patient, time will change, things will change. When shall that be? When the African don't take action and don't believe themselves. It's too sad when African stood up and fight against African stood up and killed African stood up and said, I hate African. This is the saddest part, or the darkest part, mentally darkest part of Black people. Without self-love, without loving ourselves, loving each other, to go forward will be very difficult. The first we have to fight for is, let's try love one another. If you see a Black, know that you see a brother or a sister. Let's have this mental love in ourselves and try to push each other forward, not to bring each other down. A Black man will rather support an Asian or a European or American than to support his blood brother who is an investor who want to make something whereby many African people can benefit from, or himself. He rather believe the foreigners than it owns. And these are the mentality and the mindset of Africa we have to end. Before you spend billions in Western products, why not you spend billions in African products that will be invested in Africa, and the person on that investment is African and will be the beneficiary for African. But no, many don't think about that. This is why we are always going down, because we work and give it out. We can take a many examples. People working in Europe here, African working in Europe here, it is too hard and difficult to even cross with 10,000 euro to your own continent. But the European can cash off 100,000 euros, millions, from Africa to Europe. It will be no problem for them. Our authorities will never question them. Our authorities will never question them and will never make an investigation